Okay, so I know it's only the next day, but I had to do part two of What If Deku was a fire wolf. Now, just to do a quick recap, and a little bit of something after that recap, I must explain something. Now, on the recap, Izuku unlocked his quirk. It went out of control. One of his quirks, meaning his fire quirk, is unstable, and he's training with Endeavor. Izuku realizes it's been 10 years since he's neglected his wolf abilities, and now he's heading to the forest to get in touch with his wolf. But first he has to tell his sensei, Enji, about it. And that's the recap. A second thing, what I read in my stories, I cannot and I will not take back, because what I write down, that's just the way I want it to. So, without further ado, this is What If Deku Was a Firewolf, Part 2. Hang on a second. Sorry, my dog was doing her chew toy, and I need silence when reading. Later at Endeavor's home, Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto are in the middle of combat training when Endeavor walks in with news. Endeavor says, "Enough. I have something I need to tell you three. As you all know, the UA entrance exams are coming in 10 months. I want you boys to do nothing but train, all of you. But there's one more thing. I can put in a recommendation for one of you, and I want to give it to Izuku. He's shown a lot of improvements over the time of working." Endeavor then kneels down to Izuku's level and asks him if he will take it. Izuku thinks about it for a moment and says, "Sorry, Endeavor, but if I'm going to be a true hero, I need to start in the same spot everyone else do and earn my way in." Endeavor then smiles and says, "Good choice," then tries to offer it to Bakugo. But Bakugo says, "If he's not taking it, I'm not either. We have a rivalry going on, and I want to show him that I'm more stronger than him. I'm sorry, but I have to say no." He then looks at Shoto. He just nods no. Endeavor then says, "Very well. You've all come such a long way. I have no doubt in my mind that you're all going to get in." But before Endeavor walks away, Izuku then says, "I have an announcement." Endeavor then says, "Oh, what's that?" Bakugo and Shoto are both listening closely. Izuku explains his dream and how he lost his wolf abilities, and that he needs to go find it. Endeavor says, "I see. So after not using your wolf for nearly 10 years, I guess it does make sense that you've lost it. In some ways I feel like it's my fault, because I told you no wolf went training. Do you know how long you'll be gone?" asks Endeavor. Izuku then says, No, I don't. Hopefully on time for the UA tryouts. But this is something that I need to do. Do you agree to let me go?" Endeavor thinks for a moment and says, "Fine. If doing this will help you get your quirk back, then I'll allow it. But while you're gone, I expect you to keep up with your training. No slacking." Izuku then says, "Thank you, Endeavor." Bakugo and Shoto asks if there's anything that they can do to help. Izuku says, "No, this is something I need to do alone. It's what needs to be done." Shoto then asks, "Do you know where your wolf is, Izuku?" Izuku then says, "Yes." Bakugo then says, "Where?" Izuku says, "The beast's forest." And Bakugo and Shoto are shocked about what Izuku just said. Izuku then says, "I better get ready." We then appear at the entrance of the beast's forest. Izuku then says, "Okay, Wolfie, where are you?" Izuku starts his search, walking around the forest, doing his best to remember his surroundings, trying to remember the location of his dreams. He then walks across a waterfall, and Izuku says, "That's what I saw in my dream. Is the wolf still here? Well, in case it comes back, I'm going to set up shelter here." Izuku then builds a hut made out of tree branches that were just lying around. Izuku then says, okay, that should hold it for now. Izuku then pulls out a piece of paper that is a map and says, I better mark this on my map. It's getting dark, and Izuku is thinking it's time to catch some fish for dinner. Izuku then reaches into his backpack. Thank goodness Inko overfilled it with things he's definitely going to need. And pulls out a knife and sharpens a stick. He then stands in a river waiting for fish to come by. He manages to catch 2 good-sized fish and then uses his fire ability to make a campfire and rest for tomorrow. In Izuku's dream, he's walking through the forest when he comes across 3 teenagers around his age and is harassing a wounded wolf that is too hurt to fight back. Izuku wants to go and stop them from bullying the wolf, but he can't move. There's something stopping him. All he can do is watch all he can do is watch. One of the bullies then pull out a gun. Izuku tries to speak to get them to stop, but his voice is muted. One teenager then aims the gun at the wolf and fires. The sound of the gunshot from Izuku's dream wakes him up from his nightmare. Izuku screams no as he sits up. Izuku's fire quirk almost went out of control, but Izuku remembers his breathing training to calm himself down. But now Izuku is crying because even though it was a dream, he felt like he failed to save the wolf in his dream. And the dream filled Izuku with determination. He will find his wolf part, and he will be whole again. It's the next day, and Izuku is walking around finding anything that can lead him to his wolf. Izuku pulls out the map and marks it as the spot that he's been to. When all of a sudden, Izuku encounters a bear. A big brown bear. Izuku standing still as a statue. The bear stares at Izuku. Izuku feels like as if this standoff has gone off for an eternity, when all of a sudden the bear starts approaching Izuku slowly. Izuku's thoughts are running 100 miles an hour, like, what am I going to do if he attacks me? The bear gets closer and closer until the bear walks around Izuku to his back and gives him a small shove. Izuku is shocked to what is happening. The bear is guiding him somewhere, but he doesn't know why. Izuku has been guided to a part of the forest where it's dark and bleak. When Izuku hears a cub, the bear behind him then responds to this noise, and Izuku may begin to understand what's going on. Izuku then approaches the sound and finds out that there is a bear cub trapped in a hole that is very, very deep. Izuku looks to the big bear, which we're going to call the mama bear at this point, and says, "Is this why you brought me here? You want me to help you?" All Izuku can hear is grunts. Izuku then says, "I'll take that as a yes." Izuku then looks around, wondering what should he do when an idea comes to Izuku's head. He sees a tree with thick vines surrounding it. He then uses the vines to make even thicker vines by tying them together. Izuku then takes the long vines to the big mama bear and wraps it around her neck. And tells the bear to wait there. Izuku then drops down to the deep hole and wraps the baby bear's torso with the vines, and then tells the mama bear to pull. And it begins to do so. The bear pulls and the baby bear rises from the hole. The bear cub is out. Oh, the bear cub is out of the hole. Sorry, I thought I heard something. And now Izuku is the one stuck in the hole. Izuku says, "It's okay, I can get out." Izuku then takes off both of his shoes and then holds them in his hands. Using his fire quirk to his feet, he then rockets himself out of the hole. Izuku then looks around and sees something that makes his heart warm and fuzzy. He sees the mama bear hugging her bear cub. Izuku has a flashback to when his mom hugged him like that. She was there to save me from myself, in Izuku's mind, from my quirk from running out of control. Izuku drops a couple of tears and takes the vines off the mama bear and the baby bear. Izuku smiles and says, "Be careful," to the small cub. "Don't go falling into deep holes next time." Before the mama and baby bear could walk away, Izuku could have sworn that the mama bear said, "Thank you." Like he could talk to her. The bears then walk away and Izuku heads back to his camp. "Well, I didn't find my wolf, but I'm happy I was able to save a life today." Izuku had a flashback to the bear hugging her cub, and then Izuku says, "I need to call my mom." Izuku powers on his phone and calls his mother. Inko then instantly picks up and freaking out, starting to bombard Izuku with questions, saying, "Izuku, is that you? Are you okay? Do you need help? Are you eating?" Izuku then interrupts his mom, saying, "Mom, it's okay, I'm fine." Inko sighs in relief and then says, "Okay, that's good. So, were you able to get in touch with your wolf side again?" Izuku said, "No, but something happened today that made me remember that you saved me back in those days. And I just wanted to say thank you again, Mom." Inko knows what Izuku is talking about and says, "It was my pleasure." Izuku and Inko talk for a while, and Izuku ends the conversation saying, "I love you, Mom." And Inko says, "I love you too, son." Izuku then hangs up the phone. It's getting dark, and Izuku uses the time to train and exercise. Izuku crawls into his hut and falls asleep. Izuku, now in his dream, it is sunny and a bit winded. Izuku comes across a rocky cliff that is very high from the ground, with his wolf sitting on the edge of it. Izuku then slowly walks towards the wolf and sits next to it. Izuku then looks to the wolf with the smooth breeze brushing the wolf's fur. Izuku breaks the silence and says, "So, how are you doing?" "Fine," says the wolf in an ordinary tone. "What you did, you rescued that cub from that hole, and that hug that the bear gave its mother. It took me back to when Mother helped us." Izuku said, "Yeah, I spoke with her about it yesterday, or if it's still the same time that I fell asleep. I don't know, I just fell asleep. I don't know what time it is." Izuku then asks, "Will you ever consider coming back to me? I know I haven't used you in 10 years, and I'm so sorry, but I promise you, I will never leave you behind again." The wolf then says, "You haven't noticed it, have you?" Izuku says, "What?" "I am coming back to you," says the wolf. "Do you remember that dream of those kids harassing me? I made that dream for you to see if you still cared. And when I saw you wanting to move, when you wanted to say something to stop them, I knew you still cared. You didn't notice that when the dream ended, I gave a part of me back to you. I gave you wolf sight. You have the sight of a wolf again." Izuku didn't notice, but now he does. He then asks the wolf, "What does this mean?" The wolf then says, "Before you become a hero to your people, Izuku, I need you to be a hero to the life that surrounds you. Izuku then looks out beyond the cliff with all its living things and says, "I'll do it," with a determined smile on his face. They both stand up and say, and the wolf says, "Okay, but before you go, I must tell you something else. When you saved the wolf, when you saved that bear, I gave another part of my instincts back to you. You can now talk to animals. It makes it more easier for you to know what they're saying." Izuku then says, "Thank you." The wolf says, "No problem. Now, go." Izuku then wakes up from his dream. It's the next day. Izuku is now happy than more. He then stands up, looks towards the sunrise, and gives out a loud howl to show the wolf that he's still a part of him. We then skip 8 months into the future. Izuku is currently helping a nest of baby birds back into their tree and adds a couple of attachments to make sure that this does not happen again. "Thank you, Izuku," says the parents of the baby birds. "It's no problem," says Izuku. I'll see you guys around." Izuku then uses his wolf speed and search for any other animals that are in need of help. But everything seems to be okay. Izuku heads back to his camp and notices a certain bear is rummaging through his supplies. Izuku then slowly walks towards the bear and says, "What you doing, Kachan?" The bear's name is Kachan, then jumps and says, "Oh, Izuku, I was just, Izuku then says, "Just what?" Kachan then sighs and says, "I was seeing if you had any goodies on you." Izuku then says, "Well, most of my stuff has been taken by you or anyone else in this forest, but it's okay. I forgive you, Kachan." Kachan then says, "Well, I don't deserve your forgiveness. You saved me from that hole a while back." Izuku then says, It was my pleasure. You know, when I came here and became a hero to all the animals, I knew I was meant to do this." Kachan then says, Kachan then says, "Hey, are you almost back in touch with your wolf side?" Izuku then sits down and says, "Well, I almost am. I mean, after recovering my sight, my abilities to talk to animals, hearing, smelling, and my strength and speed, all I need is my wolf form, and I'm good to go." Izuku then sighs and says, "But I'm running out of time. There are only 2 months left till the entrance exams. If I miss this, I'll be falling back. But I came here to get back in touch with my wolf side, and I'm not leaving without it." Kachan the bear then says, "Izuku, I hope you find your wolf side soon, and you'll be the next #1 hero." "I can only pray," says Izuku. Let's see, what time is it now? It's only been 18 minutes. That's where I'm going to have to end it. So, I really hope that this came out good. Anyway, so I hope everyone has a nice day. Hope you enjoy this video. And please like if you would like some more of it. Bye-bye.